Hey everyone, Sim for the Future here, and welcome to this video about Unfiltered Audio Dent. This is the Dent deconstruction video, so we're going to dive deep into Unfiltered Audio Dent, and this is also going to be the sine wave broadcasting station for today. As you can hear, lovely little sine wave in the background. I will keep it muted as much as possible for your listening happiness. So the plugin we're looking at today, Unfiltered Audio Dent. If you haven't seen one of my videos before, I am somewhat affiliated with Unfiltered Audio, as in I'm part of their beta team. So I do have early access to their plugins. This, however, is one of the plugins I bought before I joined their team. It's all fair game, because I'm not going to be any nicer, because they are listening to what I have to say. There's really not much bad to say about Dent anyways, so this should be pretty fun, right? But I just wanted to throw that out there so everyone knows we're on the same page. What is Dent? Unfiltered Audio Dent is a distortion plugin which distorts things, and it's a pretty cool distortion plugin that does a few things that other distortion plugins don't do in the same way. So as you can see, we have a sine wave running right now. That's just for demonstration purposes, so we can easily see what's going on. For that we have Vital running in the background with a constant C note, which in Melda's oscilloscope gives us a nice little sine wave. Big surprise. So let's first start off with the structure of Dent. This is kind of important because it works in a pretty specific way. So Dent has 3 clippers built in. Those are the thingies that cause the distortion. One clipper is right here in between the input and the shape controls. The second clipper is in between the shape and the crusher. And the third clipper is after the output gain, before the trim and automatic gain compensation controls, which we will enable right now. So there's 3 points where the sound can clip, and you can actually set the way it clips for every individual clipper, or you can clip it all in the same way. So for now we're going to leave it in simple mode, so every clipping point uses the soft clip algorithm, and you have a few different characteristics to choose from, and we will demo those in a second. So let's first do the controls, and then we'll go into some crushing and some different algorithms. So let's first start off. This is our sine wave. Once you start to increase the gain, you can see it flattens off with a nice soft clip, and thanks to automatic gain control we keep roughly the same volume all the way through. So that's our first clipper doing its job. Now to activate the third clipper we can just push the output gain, and that will push the third clipper, which is also a soft clip, so you get roughly the same shape. And the second clipper is basically a fail-safe for if you mess too much with the shaping controls. So let's go into the shaping controls. So let's start off with the bias control. Mind, we have the DC blocking off for this example. DC blocking, a very long technical story, just look it up. Usually it's better to leave it on, but for demonstration's sake it's better to have it off. So with this we can put a bias towards either the signal under the 0 line or over the 0 line. With the shape control we can shape more towards a flat line or a square. Now this one works slightly better if you have a sawtooth. If you hear plucks, that's the automatic gain control kicking in. Split is really cool. Now if we turn down the volume a little bit, we might better see what's going on. So essentially what happens here is it tries to push this wave up and it creates a straight line at the joint point. So if we move up the split, you will create a jagged line here, and on this side where it crosses. And if you turn it down the other way around, it will move this shape downwards and it will move this shape upwards. Now this will freak out the oscilloscope for a second. And it gives a very, very harsh distortion. So that's one of the controls you want to be a little bit careful with. Upper gain, you can turn off or change the amount of gain the signal above the zero line has. So you can turn it down to flat or even below. Mind if you have the DC blocking on, it will try its best to not make it a flat line. And the lower does the exact same thing, but with the lower portion. Again, as you can see, the oscilloscope will freak out a little bit. But there you go. That's our fine controls. Output, as said, you can push it into the clipper. Trimming is to reduce the volume after everything has happened and even after the gain compensation. Can be handy with particularly hot signals. You also have a sample rate and bitrate reducer. Now for this we are going to need something with a little bit more information. So let's move into our sawtooth, which is absolutely deafening. So we're going to turn it down a little bit. So sample rate reduction. Reduces the amount of sample points every second, which creates those nice little stepping stairs when you turn it pretty low. Bitrate reduces the amount of depth information stored for a signal. And with our nice little sawtooth, it will turn it into pretty much a square wave. It will stare out and then go to square. We also have a filter, which can be post or pre-distortion. Right now it's in any post. If you turn it high enough, you get a sine wave. And you also have resonance. You can also put it before the distortion, in which case you filter out the input signal. And you get a few options here. High pass, low pass, band pass. So that's pretty cool. Control next to it is a little bit less common. Let's turn this back to sine wave just because it's slightly less annoying. Probability sets how often the signal is let through. And if we turn on the drop, you can hear it popping in and out. And with the second control you can set the size of the sequence. which will really annoy the automatic gain control. You can also put it into probability mode. Makes things nice and crusty, and you also get a mix knob and the block TC down here. And aside from those controls, you get the old school modulations, which were still present in the old Unfiltered audio stuff, and with this you can easily control any play a little bit more with those. Let's go through the clipping modes. You have hard clipping. Let me actually increase the level again, so we get a nice little shape here. Soft clipping, actually automatic gain control is kind of handy. Hard clipping, soft clipping, so you can see the rounded edges. Wave folding, and here the wave will fold in on itself, so this point will be pressed into the wave. Always nice and harsh. We also get overfolding. Kind of similar but different. Harsh folding, which creates these really nice hard lines. Distortion. Tube distortion. Tape distortion. Whatever Globy is. So it seems to be a bit harsher down below, and it levels this off a little bit smoother. Cubic. Square waving. And we're back to hard clipping. So that's our taste, and if you use the complex mode you can actually have different clippings on different points. So we can combine a hard clip, so you can see that straight edge line here. With, for instance, a wave fold. So if we push the output volume now, you will see that straight line being pushed in. And that's one of the main cool features of this distortion plugin. Gives you a lot of control over what kind of nastiness is going to happen with your sound. So that's basic controls, and every parameter can be modulated to taste with LFOs, macro controls, sample and hold, step sequencer, and an input follower. So there's plenty of interesting sounds that can be made with this. So let's take a few sound sources, run them through, mess a little bit with the controls to give you a little bit of a feeling of the sort of things you can do with this. So for this little demo we have excellent audio with a very, very basic beat. Nothing too exciting, and now we can start pushing it a bit with some basic distortion. Let me gain compensate that. still something I didn't talk about yet. That's the different bit crushing models. So you also have and of course this comes with a pretty big selection of some factory presets, so let's go through a few. So that's a few sound samples of Dent in action on some drums. As you can hear, there's a very large range of softer, just more saturation kind of sounds you can get from this, but it absolutely, if you want to, you can push it all the way and it will get really, really harsh, which can be absolutely excellent. So let me actually break out the guitar. Let's do a few power chords through Dent and let's see how that turns out. So just a sec. So considering this video is already getting pretty lengthy, let's just leave it here for now. I think I've covered pretty much everything there is to say about Unfiltered Audio Dent, so let's get into the conclusion. So at 49 bucks, I think Dent is a very good deal. It gives you a ton of different clipping algorithms, a very nice interface, a lot of versatility, and to top it all off, even a modulation matrix so you can mess around with parameters and automation. I think it's an absolute must-have if you're into distortion and distorted sounds, so if you are still looking for a good distortion, definitely give this a shot. If you are one of the mega bundle owners and you haven't looked into Dent, I would highly recommend just downloading it and giving it a shot. If there are any questions about Dent, even after this really lengthy video, you can always leave a comment. If you like this video, leave a like, and if you want to see more breakdowns of VSTs and sound demonstrations, you can definitely follow me along. In the description you will also find a link to my Instagram profile. That's where I'm most active, honestly, with little music bits and stuff like that. So thanks for watching, and if you stayed all the way to the end, you're breathtaking, and see ya.